Alright, we'll go ahead and get started. For everyone who just joined, once again my name is Jeremy Newman, and I'll be walking you through the RelSci Pro platform today. So I'm a Client Success Manager over here at RelSci. I deal with a lot of our larger enterprise clients, and I also help with Pro clients as well. So today we'll go over the platform, kind of walk through what RelSci is all about, and then go through a few use cases that are helpful for financial services clients. Now, who does this include? Wealth managers, hedge funds, private equity, investment banking, kind of a wide swath of individuals. And even if you're somewhat outside of that target range, this will still be valuable for you. If there's any technical difficulties during the webinar, you can't hear me, the screen lags, whatever it may be, or you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to write in the question interface in the GoToWebinar interface. Always happy to answer any questions you may have. Alright, so to get started, what is RelSci? What are we about? RelSci is a business development tool designed for organizations and now actually being used by individuals to leverage their existing relationships to get in front of individuals and organizations. We're about the art of the warm introduction, moving away from that cold intro, those cold calls and those cold emails. Now, how do we do this? There's two components that make up the RelSci platform. At our core, we're a database of over 7 million individuals. These include influential people like key executives, high net worth individuals, board members. Also, we have profiles on over 2 million of their affiliated organizations, both public and private. And what differentiates us from LinkedIn and similar services is everything you see in the platform and will see today is publicly verified. This means we're pulling the information from press releases, public filings, data vendors like FactSet, iWave, NOSA, GuideStar, and many more, LexisNexis. We have a team of 300 researchers doing proprietary research on the back end to make sure that everything is up to date and consistently viewable in the platform. The second part of RelSci is the relationship mapping technology. This is what allows users to privately map your relationships to RelSci and see who they might have access to. RelSci uses an algorithm on the back end with all the public data that we've collected and draws relationship likelihoods between all 7 million individuals in our platform. Do these individuals sit on the same board? Is it a nonprofit board, for-profit board? How large or small is this board? How large or small is this organization? Depending on these hundreds of factors, will determine if it's a strong, average, or weak connection. Alright, so diving in, a few key points before we get into the meat of the platform. Number one, we're not social media. So a lot of people worry about privacy and security, and will people know that I'm looking at their profile? No, not at all. Your privacy is our utmost concern. So if you pull up someone's profile, they're not going to be notified. They're in no way linked to their profile. Number two, kind of going off that, we don't use user-generated information, no LinkedIn, no Facebook. And three, there's currently no contact information in the system. However, that is on our roadmap. We are planning on implementing that down in the future. So diving in, probably the most important part about being a RelSci Pro user and RelSci in general is loading in your relationships. Now, you can use this platform purely as a research tool if you wish, but in my experience, loading in your personal contacts is really why people like to use our platform. To do so, right now I'm actually on one of my colleagues' accounts. You can click My Relationships right here, or click your name and do Relationship Management. This will pull up the Relationship Management page, and in order to add more relationships, you just click this, Add More Relationships at the top left. And you can sync your relationships from various sources. So you can do it from Outlook, you can do it from a mobile. We actually have a mobile app that you can download on your iPhone, iPad, or Android, and it automatically syncs your contacts from your phone if you allow it. And additionally, you can use RelSci on the go. Very popular with senior folks at organizations and even with senior folks that use Pro to stay up to date on their contacts. You can do Exchange, you can actually enter in your email address here. You can do Gmail, or even do a CSV file or LinkedIn or something similar. A couple questions come up here. Number one, what are you doing with my information? Are you using it? Are you selling it? No. All we're doing is we're taking a look at name information you provide, if there's a company or board affiliation, and email address, we pull the domain to get that company affiliation. Take a look at that and see if it matches someone in our system. If so, we indicate it as a relationship. Then the information that you uploaded is dumped. We do not use it. Another question that comes up is, I synced my Gmail or I synced my LinkedIn. There's not as many Relationships, as I was expecting. I have 500 contacts in LinkedIn and only 100 matched. What's up with that? In this case, RelSci has 7 million influential individuals, so if you have your babysitter or your pizza delivery guy in your contacts, which senior folks sometimes do, I do, they're not going to match because they're not in the system. However, another reason that your matches might not be as high is RelSci is very conservative with who we match. We want to make sure you don't have a mismatch. If you're leveraging someone that appears to be a relationship but really isn't, that's a waste of your time. It's not useful. So potential matches is where you'd go to see if you can increase your relationship count. So this is taking a look at the information you uploaded from any contact source. Usually I recommend doing, Gmail or Exchange and then maybe LinkedIn in addition to that. And we'll say, you uploaded Thomas Porter, Vice President of Barclays. These are the Thomas Porters we think might match that. So this always lives here. You can come in here and take a look and see if anyone actually matches. So Daniel Cohen here, RBC Capital Markets, actually does appear to be matching Daniel Cohen, Managing Director over at RBC Capital Markets. I can go ahead and click Add. Indicate the strength of relationship here if I wish, strong, weak, or average, and that will increase that relationship count up at the top. So a great way to increase that. So I'd definitely check out potential matches if you haven't already. It's the best way to increase that match rate. All right, so another question that comes up is why, load in relationships? Like, what's the immediate return on this? The most immediate return on putting in time and effort to load in your relationships is alerts. RelSci pushes you articles from major publications like New York Times, Washington Post, LexisNexis, many more about your relationships. You can actually click in to many of these articles. So for instance, if I come down here and click into this article, it actually pulls up the full body of the article. There's no paywalls. You stay within RelSci. So it's a great way to kind of get around or get more news from some of the major publications if there is paywalls in the way. However, even with this, a lot of people ask, I have Google Alerts, I have an RSS feed, why would I use RelSci Alerts? What's the value prop here? The biggest one is we're a little more nuanced than Google Alerts and RSS feed. You might have seen maybe you have a relationship John Smith at JP Morgan. Well, there's bound to be dozens of John Smiths at JP Morgan. You're probably getting articles about various John Smiths and kind of can get annoying wasting your time. RelSci's algorithms are more nuanced. We make sure we're pushing you the right article about the right person or the right organization. On top of that, we have bots sitting on hundreds of thousands of board pages, team pages. We have data vendors feeding us data. Whenever there's a change on someone's profile, make a donation, they get a new employment, they drop off of a board page. We'll send you these proprietary updates. Another question that arises after people learn about this is, well, I like this a lot. How do I customize it? I'm getting too many alerts, or I'm getting not enough. I want to make one on my alma mater. I want to see alumni in investment banking or in private equity. What are they doing? Click News Search at the top here. This allows you to filter or create new news sources. You can do advanced search, for instance, and say, maybe you're getting way too many articles about your relationships. You don't care about events or if there's a scandal. You just care when people get new employment and board changes. Click My Relationships, come on down to Topic, and just do board and executive moves. And maybe, if you're interested here, do fund placements and fundraising, or new 10Qs or 10Ks coming out, insider transactions, mergers and acquisitions. You can really target your alert settings. In addition, you don't have to have relationships to make news, or even if you do have relationships, maybe you're really interested in alumni of, for instance, my alma mater is Villanova University. I can type in Villanova University here, select it from the drop-down, and say, I'm interested in board and executive moves, maybe specifically in banking and finance or investment banking and brokerage. Click Search, and it will pull up individuals that meet that criteria and articles that meet that criteria. You can save this by clicking Follow right here, and that will be saved to your alerts, and that will be sent to you via email. It'll be in the platform, and if you have the mobile app, most importantly, you can pull it up on the go. Additionally, if you feel like alerts are just blowing up your inbox, you're not a big fan of them, or you want to customize them even more, click into alert settings. You can get there By the drop down or on the main page, you can change the frequency of alerts, you can change how many emails you get, how many headlines, whether or not certain alert sources are included in your emails or just on the platform or just on your mobile device. Lots of customized options here for you. Alright, so that's just immediate, kind of, in my opinion, that's what most users do when they first sign up for RelSci, or at least when they're being walked through or have some material. Load in relationships, figure out alerts. That's a lot of value just there. But then the next one is pulling up profiles, of course. Now I want to get smart on someone. How do I see the information? Type in their name in the smart search bar. I'll pull up Henry Kravis here. And then select them from the drop-down. Don't hit enter. I know it seems intuitive. This is the best way to make sure you have the right individual. Obviously, Henry Kravis is pretty unique, but if you had a John Smith, a Jane Doe, whatever it may be, you definitely want to make sure you have the right individual. This is a basic RelSci profile. A lot of information condensed and organized in an easily viewable format. You can change the relationship strength of that individual. If you have a relationship with them, you can change it to strong, weak, average. Better yet, if you don't want to load in information, you feel that's a little compliance issues or security issues, you can still pull up people. Let's say pull up 10 individuals that sit on a nonprofit board with you or that you golf with every weekend. You can pull up their profiles and just click add relationship, and we'll add it to your relationships here. Also importantly, if you want to update your relationships and don't want to sync the entire contacts, get a business card, just do it this way. It's much easier. Recent 360 alerts about Henry Kravis, and then really the power of RelSci is right here. My strongest paths to Henry. Mind you, we already have a relationship with him in this account, so it's not as obviously valuable. But RelSci is taking a look and saying, all right, from your 221 relationships, or 50 or 300, what's the quickest way in front of Henry? In this case, it's a direct relationship. I've indicated I have access to him. But where it becomes important is if I didn't have direct access to Henry, how can I get an introduction here? It looks like Joseph, who I have indicated I have a relationship with, looks like he's over at Excel, was at Grant Partners, has a strong likelihood of access to Henry. Over this red line here, and it shows up why. It looks like Joseph is currently VP Principal over at Excel, KKR LLC. Henry was an advisor there before. Professional vice, so they're also involved in a deal together, specifically. And this pulls up all the overlapping points, more or less. RelSci is taking a look at the organizations they're involved with. Did they both work the same deal together? Are they family members? Are they friends? Were they involved in a certain investment together? We take a look at their roles in that deal. Were they both senior? Were they both junior? Take a look at the size of the organizations. Are they both part of, for instance, a membership organization? There's a big difference between being part of a small membership organization and being part of a massive one where they're probably not going to run into each other. I'll come back to that in a little bit. Relationship summary. I really want to stress this. This is another way to use RelSci. If you have a friend, if you have a colleague, a connection that you have a great relationship with and you want to leverage them specifically, pop into their RelSci profile and do relationship summary. This is their virtual Rolodex, in a way. So Henry Kravis here has access to, RelSci believes, over 7,500 individuals within our universe. Mind you, Henry Kravis is extremely influential, so it's slightly higher than most people. But you'll see the average profile, people have access to 1,000 to 3,000 individuals in our universe. So you can come down here and actually open up the entire Rolodex if you wanted to by clicking See All right here. You can see, okay, who do we think Henry has access to? Scott here, why do we think he has access? Pull up all the overlapping points and see the details. So in this case, it'd be great to see how someone what their network is without actually asking them. So we have organizations using this, people using this, instead of shooting an email blindly out into the void saying, does anyone, do you know so-and-so at this organization, or do you have access to this person? Do you know anyone in this industry or in this vertical? Pop into their profile, see if they do know anyone. You can even filter, click See All here, as I mentioned earlier, and filter down, search it. See, do they have access to someone in a specific organization, specific relationship type, maybe attended a certain school, Lots of interesting ways to use this. Continuing down, I won't take too long on the rest of the information. Kind of self-explanatory. Family members, education, memberships, interest and affiliations. We have auction houses using us to kind of target prospective buyers, career information, boards and committees, lots of information here. Investments they've been involved with, so if we continue down. And any blue link you see is clickable. You can even hover over it for a quick snapshot. Nonprofit donations and grants, investments they've been involved with, you can expand this and search it. Public holdings, transactions. And something I do want to mention with transactions is if you want to see the participants of a specific transaction, click See All Participants right here and it will open it up. See All Participants. You'll see the companies involved and influential individuals as well, if any are noted in the filing. All right, so that's a person's profile. Pulling up an organization's profile real fast. I'm going to pull up Broadridge Financial. Pull them up. You'll see basic information on the left. We actually have links to any 10Ks, 10Qs, if they are available. Sidebar here. Recent alerts, and then potential paths to all senior individuals at Broadridge. In this case, looks like Rick Solway here has average likelihood of connection to Deborah, who's the Chief Marketing Officer, actually I believe very recent Chief Marketing Officer over there. And it looks like they both had overlap at Ernst & Young. Additionally, some common items which did not factor into the score, but we think you should know, they both are alumni of NYU, specifically the School of Business. Also, organization paths differ from people paths because we tell you the level of influence someone has at an organization. If you have a connection to a professional, that's not as good as having a connection to a chairman, obviously, or to a chief marketing officer, or to a VP. So this little hook here shows you the strength of connection that individual has to the organization. We vary it based on size, tenure, etc. And then list of executives, list of board of directors, basic information that you can take a look in detail. Transaction summary, etc. Now, the next two tools that I'll go over, and probably call it there, is Pathfinder and Powersearch. These are the bread and butter of RelSci, and specifically the bread and butter of Pro. You can go from your relationships to any entity in RelSci. I can type in an organization here. I can type in a person and see all of the potential paths available. So if I type in American Express, for instance, or if I type in Ernst & Young, instead of seeing those top 6 paths or those top 5, I see all potential paths. And you can customize it. So there's a lot of connections here. Hover over, kind of see why they're popping up. But more importantly, you can filter. Maybe you're trying to get in front of, you don't care about board members, you can get rid of them. Or maybe you want to get in front of the controller, or treasurer, or COO. You can actually select the correct position by typing it in. More importantly, you can sort these, you can filter these. Maybe you don't care about nonprofit relationships, or you don't care about board relationships. Or maybe you keep seeing pathways through a specific person that you don't get along with well, or if you already asked way too many introductions from. You can remove them from the path results. You can also target people based on their alma mater. Maybe they're alumni of an organization you were an alumni of. A little tip that I'll say here, which I usually don't mention actually, is if you're seeing multiple names pop up on the right here, Ronald Williams, Timothy here, they're popping up multiple times, you just want to see the best path, click Group, select the third option. This will make them the best path for each individual at that organization appear, and none of the other paths. So you'll see now Ronald Williams and Peter's name appear once. And if I want to see more paths I have to them, I can click that plus more paths, You'll see all the other paths populate below their name. Another thing you can do, some due diligence. Let's say you want to get smart on a competitor. You can type in another entity in the from field. I can take a look and say, okay, well, American Express, I want to see, how Ernst & Young is connected potentially. Type in that and go from Ernst & Young's public profile to American Express's public profile. See if maybe they sit on nonprofit boards together, or they both work at the same organization. Maybe they're family members, maybe they're friends. Very interesting competitive intelligence tool in this regard. All right, so the last tool I'll really dive into in depth, and feel free if you have any questions, please ask in the interface. Powersearch. This is the advanced search query of RelSci. It's pretty intuitive to use. However, there's a few interesting use cases for it. First, the basic premise of this is if I'm based in New York City, or you're based in New York City, I can put in the location. And a question that pops up is, what does RelSci cover in terms of globally? I'd say our database is about 65% domestic US, and the rest we cover Western Europe really well. We're getting really good at Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia, South America, Pacific region. You can target by role, so maybe you're looking for a new board member for maybe you're an activist hedge fund, for instance. You're looking for a new board member or a potential new COO. You can take a look and say, all right, I want to take a look at COOs in the, maybe do basic materials industry. Click search. You can instantly see who fulfills that criteria, if you have any direct connections to them, and then if you have any potential introduction points to these people. Another way people use this tool is if you're traveling to a city, for instance. Let's say you're going to New York and you actually want to meet with some COOs, get some information, or you're just going to New York and you want to see what relationships you have there. You can use that tool for this. Take a look. In terms of extended, there's one potential COO that we have access to. Click see all, get more details. Additionally, you can do personal information, take a look at age, political party, look at memberships, insider transactions. I've seen people use this tool for very interesting use cases. A lot of alumni searches as well, whether it be from an organization or your school. All right, so the last tool I'll just briefly mention, visit a city. I know I mentioned it in Powersearch, but if you just want to see, let's say you're on the go, you have your iPad, and someone cancels on you last minute when you're in Charlotte or when you're traveling, put in the city you're in or that you're going to, and maybe try to see who you can get an introduction to or who you do know in that city. Nothing's worse than going to a city on a business trip and realizing you forgot to meet with someone that was in the area, and then you're going to have to fly back a month down the road to meet with them. So a great way to see if you can grab coffee with someone, schedule a meeting, or make new connections. So the last thing I'll mention in terms of RelSci is resources at your disposal. We have a YouTube channel with a bunch of recorded videos for both Enterprise and Pro, so feel free to leverage that. There's the RelSci training tab, which you all might have noticed, which shows the upcoming webinars. We have RelSci services. You can leverage this to ask questions, maybe report mistaken information. Contact button. Give us a call. Shoot us an email if you have a question or maybe a project you're wondering how RelSci can be helpful. The last thing is if, a week or 2 weeks down the road or after the holidays, you're wondering, how did Jeremy say to do that tool again? Or, what can we use in this platform? Click the how-to. This will walk you through most of the tools in this in the platform in Pro and tell you how to use them. So for instance, I want to do a power search. How do we do that? Click that and it will interactively walk you through that tool. So definitely a great resource for you to use. So that's all I have. What I will say and what I will mention is to, really become well versed in RelSci, I suggest getting a hang on alerts, profiles, Pathfinder, and Powersearch. Those 4 things, if you can really understand them, you will be utilizing RelSci quite effectively. So I appreciate you all taking the time to hop on the call, to hop on the webinar. I'll stay here for another 3 or 4 minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to write them into the interface. But if not, thank you for your time.